In this video, I'm going to show you how to do Flexibility SPT. It's a really great exercise for the end of the week or after a few really heavy training sessions to make sure that you're maintaining your full range of motion while shooting archery, especially when you're shooting Olympic style recurve with a clicker. So I have already gone over the holding and power or pumping SPTs, and if you haven't seen those yet, I will have links in the description for both of those below, and I will put a link to the holding SPT up at the top there in case you're interested in checking those out. And essentially what these exercises are is SPT, specific physical training for archery. This is something that I did while I lived at the Olympic Training Center weekly. I did the other two SPTs and I would do those, roughly 4 days a week, somewhere in there, 4 to 5 days a week. And then I would do this Flexibility SPT at least 1 to 2 days a week. So generally I would do this on Saturdays because Saturday was a half day of training. It was the end of the week and we just wanted to make sure that we would get some good range of motion going. Right now I'm here at Blank Bale, which is, a couple of meters in front of me here. And I have my Olympic style recurve with a clicker. And the whole point of this is to maintain your flexibility or range of motion despite training, heavier volumes or shooting heavier weight to gain strength. So this is definitely more of a recovery exercise. It's a lot easier to do than the other two SPTs, and it was a very welcome thing for us archers to do while we lived at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista, California. So it's really simple and straightforward. Normally what you would want to do is have a clock with a second hand, and I would actually hang it on the target so I could see it while at full draw, because the whole point of this is to maintain flexibility. So the way that you do that is you pull back, you get to full draw, you get into holding or transfer, or you just stabilize, do whatever you normally do while at full draw. But if you're using the KSL shot cycle like I do, I would get into holding and transfer. I would expand and continue my expansion after the clicker clicks. Once the clicker would click, I will expand for 10 seconds and continually add pressure and adding speed to the system. And then after 10 seconds, you let down, you rest 1 minute, and then you do that for 10 cycles, 10 total sets basically, and then shoot about a half a dozen to a dozen arrows afterwards using the clicker as normal, and you'll see how much extra range of motion you've built throughout this exercise. So I have my phone here, and I downloaded an app called a Tabata timer because it's pretty easy to set up. And what I did basically is set up a system here because I don't have a secondhand clock anywhere actually. So I'm going to be doing it according to this timer. So if you want to set yours up just like I have mine set up in case you want to do this at home, I have the initial countdown to set 10 seconds. So I'm going to hit the button, put it in my quiver, and get back to full draw and get my clicker to click when the 10 seconds is up. Then I will hold for 10 seconds. That's the exercise interval. I will rest for 1 minute, and then this is only one set. And then there is an 8-second recovery interval, which is a cue for me to get back to full draw. At the end of that, I will click and then expand for 10 more seconds and do that for a number of 10 cycles. So I'll have a link in the description below, or just a description as to which app I'm using. It's literally just Tabata timer, so it's very simple and straightforward. So with that being said, I'm just gonna get right into it and show you exactly how to do Flexibility SPT. So here we go. All right, so I just hit this play button and it's gonna start counting down 10 seconds, and I'm gonna get ready to get to full draw.
Starting your Tabata workout. Get ready.
Transfer, expand,
Exercise.
click, expand. Now I'm gonna keep expanding at the same rate for 10 seconds. Picking a spot to aim at.
Rest.
So it's a very simple and straightforward. Like I said, this was a very welcome exercise, a very welcome thing to be doing while we lived at the Olympic Training Center, or while I lived at the Olympic Training Center, because it's just, you know, after heavy days of working out and shooting heavy volumes of arrows with a heavy bow, it gets, you know, quite exhausting. So this was a very welcome thing. At least I hoped and wanted it to happen on Saturdays, as opposed to the other days I was dreading the hour of SPT that we would have after shooting, you know, 300 arrows a day that day. So, and just about every day. So again, this is just more of a recovery, range of motion thing, and it really can highlight how much more you can expand through your clicker. So, you know, if you ever feel stuck and unable to get through the clicker, you can just fall back on this idea. So we're ready. Transfer, expansion,
Exercise.
clicker clicks, and now I expand at the same speed and same rate, same intensity.
Rest.
So the way that I'm expanding is exactly how I do it normally with an Olympic style recurve. So I'm building pressure and tension coming around and hinging behind me. I'm moving my land 2, which is the spot on the back side of my shoulder, parallel to the shooting line directly behind me, which makes my arm, the humerus, the upper bone in my arm, hinge around and behind me. And then I'm also adding pressure and stabilizing on this front half equal to the amount of pressure that I'm trying to pull back through and around through the clicker. It's a pretty straightforward, simple process once you learn it, and it becomes automated with time. And doing it here at Blank Bale with an arrow through the clicker here, it'll actually also help develop clicker control and not be so in tune with the clicker and hoping that it would click.
Recovery.
So now I get to full draw, transfer, expand, click,
Exercise.
expand, expand, expand.
Rest.
So, you know, it's still work. You still end up shaking. You still end up using the exact same weight that your bow is normally. You know, there still is it's a challenge, I guess, relative and different to just shooting. Because shooting, you know, the clicker clicks and you cut it loose. You're not still holding for 10 seconds. But this motion of forcing yourself to push against the wall that you feel that should be essentially your limit of your draw length or very close thereof, this really helps just keep the body healthy throughout heavy loads of training. So something that's important is to make sure that your clicker is set in the right place. I have a video that I produced for that. I'll have links in the description below, plus I'll put a card at the top there for you to check out as well. You know, essentially in that video I said roughly 95% of my draw length. So in this one I get to 100 after the clicker clicks and I'm expanding for 10 seconds. Transfer, expand, click, expand, 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 and just keep going. I try to pick an arrow hole to aim at, so then I'm trying to stabilize still too, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, as is all of these videos with SPT, it's a little challenging for me to fill, you know, dead air for a minute. So excuse my rambling. It's better than just me standing here staring at you. So, but anyway, we would do this, like I said, once a week on Saturdays. Sometimes we do it on Thursdays. Thursday was also a half day that we shot. We shot Monday through Saturday. Thursday was a recovery day, and Saturday was a half day. Sunday's off. So, like I said, the other 4 to 5 days a week, we would do Holding and Power SPT. And occasionally we would do this after Power SPT or Holding SPT just to kind of get the range of motion going again. And either way, after all of those, we would always shoot a handful of arrows just to make sure it still felt good.
Recovery.
Transfer, expand. I clicked early, but I'm going to keep going.
Rest.
So as I'm expanding, things that I'm also looking for is a maintaining of a solid anchor position. The pressure going up against my jaw, in against my neck, the string coming against my chin as well as my nose, and pushing pressure and harder as I'm rotating around and behind me and driving this bow arm forward. I'm also increasing the pressure that I'm anchoring with, which makes sure I'm maintaining a good solid strong anchor, which is going to just ram home the idea of needing to maintain form and tension and direction and maintaining stability as best as you possibly can. So don't change anything. You don't change the way we are anchoring, the way we're pushing, the way we're pulling, the way we're standing, nothing. Everything always stays the same, and we are not changing anything other than just continually expanding through the clicker.
Recovery.
Transfer.
Exercise.
Push, push, push. Well, push, pull, rotate, whatever you want to call it. Expand.
Rest.
Now, what's funny about this for me right now is I actually feel tension on this side of my neck where the suboccipital attaches up here on this left side. Because as I'm expanding, I'm pulling and rotating around much further than my normal position is, and I'm having to maintain my head pressure, or actually add pressure with my neck to maintain my head position. Because what I'm also trying to do is I'm also trying to maintain a good sight picture the whole time too. And I think that's also very important, that needs to be really made mention of, because as we're expanding, your string alignment should not be changing at all. It should not move as you're expanding. It should maintain its position relative to the sight or to the riser, wherever you put it, and you continually pull and push and expand while maintaining that sight picture. And I'm also picking an arrow hole to aim at too, to add a challenge or a level of challenge.
Exercise. Rest.
So what I'm doing now, or something else that you can actually focus on, is different sides, different feelings. What does this side feel like as I'm expanding? What does this side feel like as I'm expanding? And when you have the opportunity to really sit down, I guess, and monitor and try to analyze your feeling while at full draw, you may notice faults. Like the first time I was focusing more on pulling, and I realized I wasn't really pushing. And then now I'm focusing more on the pushing and not really much on the pulling. And I'm just trying to figure out, am I truly balanced? Do I really feel like I'm adding the same equal amount of pressure on both sides? And if not, what can I do to try to eliminate that problem? Because I really truly believe having an equal balanced equation is extremely important. What you're doing on this side, you have to do on this side. It'll really make you more stable in the long run.
Recovery.
Clicked early, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Exercise. Rest.
Let's see, we've done 8 so far, it looks like. Like I said, on average, we do it about 10 times. Like I said, that 1 to 2 times a week. Sometimes we do 15, but really never more than 10. It really just depends on the day, depends on the needs. And if you feel like you need some more of this, I would encourage you to do it for a little bit longer, because developing this range of motion or maintaining the range of motion with this added workload of SPT or shooting more arrows or more bow weight, it's really important to maintain range of motion for sure. Potentially doing this left-handed probably be a good idea too, especially if you're, doing everything right-handed like I am.
Recovery.
Expand.
Exercise.
I think we have one more after this one. That should have been the 9th. I'm really excited to shoot some arrows after this, just to see how it feels. Generally, what I feel afterwards is a bit more explosiveness in the finish, and definitely a more ease of setting the clicker off, or at least having the control of feeling like I can make it click when I want to, because I wouldn't say I broke the cobwebs out, but I just feel like you realize more of your potential range of motion, and in general I think that would probably lead to less hesitation in my mind. At least that's what it feels like and what it has felt like in the past. So we got 3 seconds here. This should be the last one.
Recovery.
Load anchor transfer. Expand. Expand, expand,
Exercise.
expand.
Rest.
Now, what we do after this is just shoot a half a dozen arrows to a dozen arrows or so. You can shoot more if you'd like, but it's definitely more of an end of day type of thing. I actually just warmed up to come and do this for you guys because it is something that is important, and it's a usable tool to add into your shooting toolbox. So now I'm just going to shoot a half a dozen arrows here for you, and it'll feel a bit more explosive and hopefully easier to get through the clicker. Really making sure I'm driving with the front half and the back half equally, and just feeling the explosion and the finish and the follow through like I want to feel. Definitely a lot easier to set the clicker off. So if you haven't noticed, I got a Hoyt in my hand right now because I'm actually in the middle of doing a review here of this Exceed and Velos combo, and it feels pretty good. I haven't finished it yet, so that's why I haven't posted it yet, but do keep an eye out for that one. So again, it just feels super easy. Set the clicker off now, and my finish position is just real strong. And because I spent so much time equalizing the pressure, it definitely feels very, very equal and solid, at least compared to normal. So that is Flexibility SPT. That's how you do it, and some benefits to it as well. And again, like I said, adding this to your arsenal is a really good benefit, especially if you're shooting high volumes of arrows, higher draw weight, and trying to overall just get stronger. It is also a good benefit too to make sure you're maintaining your range of motion and your flexibility, because it is important to be able to have that ability to get through the clicker. Now, would I do this with bare bow? I'm not 100% sure if I would or if I wouldn't. It really depends on if you have a tendency of over pulling and continual drawing and being able to maintain a solid anchor and draw length. But if you do have a tendency to collapse or potentially creep while you are aiming, I definitely think this would help eliminate that kind of situation. So I like it. It's my favorite one to do because it's the easiest and it is something that I did see a benefit of. And even just now today, I can still feel that I think there was a little bit lacking there in the way I was expanding with the conviction and the amount of like very deliberate focus of equal forces of balance. And for sure, I feel a lot more balanced now and a lot more explosive in my release and follow through. And ultimately, that's something that I'm really going to look forward to, because I need to go shoot this at 70 meters and see how it actually shoots at distance. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed by now, please do. That would really help this channel out. Comment below if you like this type of video, or if you have any more suggestions. I would genuinely appreciate that type of stuff. Comments help this channel. It brings these videos in front of more people because the YouTube algorithm likes that. And I appreciate everybody who has shown interest in this channel, as it encouraged me to continue producing content for you guys. I will continue to do this. I'm having a great time, and I'm enjoying sharing my knowledge with you all.